On Hebrews, it's the Israelite Brotherhood. Israel been Israel. All right, Hebrews. I be running across Hebrews that be having all kind of doctrines. All kind of doctrines. And all those doctrines basically spring up from Jewish myths about our heritage. We abandoned our heritage to some Babylonian scribes. They was book writers, storytellers. So all the kind of like history outside the Tanakh is gonna be like the storytelling that they did. Because in 588 BC, 134 years after the Sephardics was placed in Samaria, we Hebrews abandoned our covenant to them. We basically left the land. See what I'm saying? So it's a whole bunch of Hebrews walking around talking about we the Hebrew Moors, we the Hebrew Nubians, we the Hebrews that went through China across North America and settled in South America. All kind of stuff. Man, it be so many doctrines, man. I be laughing and it be funny too. Ain't gonna lie, it be funny. But then it's not funny because our heritage was blotted out and them brothers and sisters be trying to find their way back to their heritage, but they be using Jewish sources. You see what I'm saying? When we broke the covenant, we didn't have time to write all these books and explain our heritage, and our covenant just kept rolling, and we just had a good time and all these lands prophesizing and all that stuff. No, man, that didn't happen. What happened is in the book of Jeremiah in 588 BC, the whole Hebrew nation told the prophet Jeremiah that we wasn't gonna do the covenant no more. We said we was through with the covenant. You know, we was on Egyptian religion on and off for quite a while. From the time that Jeroboam brought them two golden calves out, which ain't nothing but the Queen of Heaven, to the time that King Josiah cleaned it up. That's King Hezekiah's great grandson. Is like 285 years we was on Egyptian religion. How about soon as King Josiah clean up the Egyptian religion, just before we go into Africa, probably about like 33 years or something like that, we went into Africa and said we weren't going to do the covenant no more. You see, he cleansed up the false religion that Jeroboam had left, and we had the chance of not being enslaved and losing our heritage and fulfilling those curses. But we did. And all the tribes, see, this is another myth. When people be saying, oh, it's the 10 lost tribes. The Assyrians took 10 tribes and carried them to South America and all other kind of stuff. You know, we be having all kind of philosophies and all kind of doctrines, but those doctrines basically come from the Jewish stories that's been created about our heritage by the Jews themselves. See what I'm saying? Because they were storytellers. The Sephardims are Babylonian scribes. They are responsible for Babylonian history. You see what I'm saying? The whole Babylonian history. You know what I'm saying? They're responsible for. In a segment of their people was placed in our land. See, this is how you. Right now, the Israelite Brotherhood showing all camps, everybody, the difference between Jewish history and Hebrew Israelite history. See, y'all be using Jewish history. You see what I'm saying? If you ain't talking about these curses and how we broke the covenant in the book of Jeremiah, then you're going to be talking about Jewish history, because the Hebrews didn't have time to write all these books. We abandoned our covenant. Matter of fact, we didn't even want to write no more books about the covenant. So that's how you know the majority of these histories that these groups and peoples be teaching is false. Okay, in the book of Jeremiah, let's establish this. Chapter 44, verse 15, 16, 17, and 18. The whole Hebrew nation say they was through with the covenant. All right. Then all the men which knew that their wives had burnt incense unto other gods, and all the women that stood by a great multitude, even all the people that dwelled in the land of Egypt and Pathros, answered Jeremiah, saying, As for the word that thou hast spoken unto us in the name of the Elohim, we would not hearken unto thee. See, that was a mindset. See, we said that whatever you say that the Creator say, Prophet Jeremiah, we not gonna listen to you. We gonna do whatever thing come out our own mouth. You know what I'm saying? We were saying that we was through with the covenant, basically, right there. All right. As for the word that thou hast spoken to us in the name of the Elohim, we will not hearken unto thee, but we will certainly do so whatever thing go forth out of our own mouth, to burn incense unto the Queen of Heaven, and to pour out drink offerings unto her, as we have done, we and our fathers, our kings, and our princes in the cities of Judah and in the streets of Jerusalem. For then had we plenty of food and were well and saw no evil. But since we left off to burn incense to the Queen of Heaven and to pour out drink offerings unto her, we have wanted all things and have been consumed by the sword and by famine. We thought the reason that Almighty Yah was sending the Babylonians at us in our mind was because we wasn't doing Egyptian religion. See, that's a total abandonment right there. See what I'm saying? When we abandoned the covenant and went into Africa, we did that as a whole, because in 715 BC, this is 7 years after the Syrians supposed to had took 10 tribes away. Everybody still in the land with King Hezekiah and with his great grandson. And the exiles, the people, the Hebrews from the Assyrian captivity, the Israelites can be seen amongst the exiles. Prophet Ezra, Nehemiah, Haggai, Zechariah, and Malachi. You see, which show that they was part of the Babylonian captivity too, which show that it wasn't no Assyrian captivity. All right, you go to second Chronicles, chapter 30. All right, Second Chronicles, chapter 30. All right, and then we see under King Hezekiah that all the tribes were still there. You see, and he basically, mentioned them. As you read, you know, Second Chronicles chapter 30. This is written in 715 BC. That King Hezekiah had sent a letter to all Israel in Judah, and wrote letters also to Ephraim and to Manasseh, that they should come to the house of the Elohim at Jerusalem to keep the Passover unto the Elohim Yah of Israel. And he sent the letter throughout all Israel, and it wouldn't make no sense to send a letter throughout all Israel if they was all gone. See, that's why come he said in Second Chronicles 30, verse 6. So the post went with the letters from the king and his princes throughout all Israel and Judah, according to the commandment of the king, saying, Ye children of Israel, turn again unto the Elohim Yah of Abraham, Isaac, and Israel, and he will return to the remainder of you that are escaped out of the hands of the king of Assyria. All right, and then he go down to start naming tribes. You know what I'm saying? That's like, Second Chronicles 30, verse 10. You know what I'm saying? It says, So the post passed from city to city through the country of Ephraim, Manasseh, even unto Zebulun, but they laughed them to scorn. You see, the Syrian wars didn't mean nothing to them. We still had a stiff neck. And then verse 11 say, Nevertheless, diverse of Asher, Manasseh, and Zebulun humbled themselves and came to Jerusalem. And then when you get on the other page 30, verse 18, and then it said, For a multitude of the people, even many of Ephraim, Manasseh, Asgard, Zebulun, did not cleanse themselves, yet they did eat the Passover. Otherwise it was written, But the king prayed for them, saying, The good Elohim pardon everyone. All right, now let's go to second kings second kings 2 Kings chapter 17, verse 21, because in 2 Chronicles chapter 30, verse 25, 30, verse 25, you'll see that them strangers came to the Passover dinner and start hanging around Jerusalem. And that's going to be them Sephardi Jews, because if you go to 2 Kings, this is 722 BC, in 2 Kings chapter 17 verse 24. And the king of Assyria brought men from Babylon, from Cutter, and from Ava, and from Hamath, and from Sepharvaim, and placed them in the cities of Samaria instead of the children of Israel. And they possessed Samaria and dwelt in the cities therein. Well, okay, 7 years later, during King Hezekiah time, they came to pass over them. So they was doing our heritage, as it stated in chapter 17, 2 Kings 17, that they was doing our heritage. All right, but this 2 Chronicles chapter 30, verse 25, this written in 715 BC. And all the tribes was there, and all the congregation of Israel, with the priests and the Levites, and all the congregation that came out of Israel, and the strangers that come out of the land of Israel that dwelt in Judah rejoiced. See, that's going to be those Sephardi Jews, them Babylonian scribes who wrote our history after we abandoned it in the book of Jeremiah. You see what I'm saying? See, all the tribes went into Africa, and then if you go to Second Chronicles 34, under King Josiah, this is King Hezekiah's great grandson. He gonna mention the tribes that wasn't mentioned, during that time, during his great granddaddy time, and so did they in the cities of Manasseh, Ephraim, Simon, even up to Naphtali, with their mattox round about. All right, so King Josiah mentioned the tribes that wasn't mentioned in King Hezekiah's time. Okay, so for you folks that be saying, we the Hebrews, Moors, we the Nubian Indians, we the Eskimo Hebrew Israelites, all kind of stuff, got all kind of doctrines. Y'all doctrines is off, for the simple fact that the Hebrews, the whole Hebrew nation, besides that 1% that was captured and took into Babylon, that was freed, that came back home during Persian rule. You see what I'm saying? If you didn't go to Africa with the 99%, or go to Babylon and come back home and they was destroyed, then we can't be all these other people, all these other ethnic groups, and all these different doctrines, the Moors, the Egyptian Moors. Some of them say, we the Egyptian Moor Hebrews that flew across Assyria to Mexico. All kind of crazy junk. I'm talking about that junk be sounding so crazy. So if your history ain't lining up with this, what I'm showing, what the Israelite Brotherhood showing, then your history is off, because we pure tonight. We go strictly with our history, and we done studied all them other groups in their history, and they lead to a dead end. Nothing. They don't lead to the Hebrew Israelite heritage. Okay, let's deal with this dude, Jesus. How about Jesus, Yawashi, or whatever you want to call him? How about he turned his back on the Queen of Heaven worshipers, the Hebrews, the whole Hebrew nation that went into Africa in the book of Jeremiah? How about your boy Jesus had a chance to go in and save them, or help them, if he had this power, and that would have stopped the transatlantic slave trade? How about he was so stupid and he was so dumb, and the Tanakh was around, because the Tanakh had been translated by the Sephardi Jews during the Greek times after the exiles got destroyed. See, this is also how you know that we are the Hebrews, is because when we went into Africa in 588 BC, our land was empty for 50 years. You see what I'm saying? And look, if you go to Jeremiah 44 verse 2, it'll tell you that the whole land was empty. And it was empty 50 years till them exiles come home from Babylon. All right. All right. This said the Elohim, the host the Yah of Israel. Ye have seen all the evil that I have brought upon Jerusalem, and behold, all the cities of Judah, and behold, this day they are a desolation, and no man dwelleth therein. No man dwelleth therein. It was no Hebrews in Jerusalem, which was our last holdings before we went into Africa. You see what I'm saying? And if you go to 2 Kings chapter 25, 2 Kings 25, 2 Kings 25, verse 26, you will see that everybody went into Africa besides that 1% that was captured. All right. All right. 2 Kings 25, verse 26. And all the people, both small and great, and the captains of the armies arose and came to Egypt, for they was afraid of the Chaldeans. Okay, the Sephardians was placed in our land in 722 BC. Okay, when the Chaldeans chased us into Africa in the book of Jeremiah, or during the Babylonian captivity, that's going to be when Ashkenazi set up. You see, they was called the Scythians. Then you see, Scythian is Ashkenazi code name in history. Okay, they settled in the Discopolis cities, and Scythopolis was the head city. How about Jesus had them as members? You see what I'm saying? And he didn't even know that they had destroyed the Hebrews and chased us in Africa in the book of Jeremiah 588 years before he was born. How about this Jesus dude went to Egypt, and when he left Egypt and went back to the promised land to kick it with them Scythians and them other heathens that was in our nation, he turned his back on the Hebrews that went into Africa in the book of Jeremiah. Us, the people we descended from. And then how about we didn't go into Africa? Wasn't no Hebrews. Disprove wasn't no Hebrews in the New Testament, because in 70 AD, when the Roman temple, when the Romans destroyed her temple that was built in 20 BC, all those people was exposed to a Jesus. There was a whole bunch of them, a whole bunch of Jesus being the Nath, Jesus being Shaprat, Jesus being Gamaliel, Jesus being Stoddard. How about when them folks went across North Africa and into Africa, they brung that Jesus philosophy with them? How about we wasn't never exposed to that, which showed that we wasn't pre-exposed to that before the slavery days. You see what I'm saying? So, it's a whole lot going on. But we are not no Moors. And then this how you kill that Moor stuff and all them other ideologies and doctrines that they be trying to say that we the Moor, Hebrew, Nubians. Say, show us more history in the BC days. Show us some more history before the Hebrews broke the covenant. You see what I'm saying? They ain't gonna be able to do it, because ain't no more history. That stuff come around in the 15, in the late part of just before we got into captivity. And ain't no Hebrews went to no Europe, Greece, Roman, or none of them place. Rome's or none of them place. We stayed in the Sahara. That's why I come and say, is Israel a homeborn slave? Because it take the creator to move us. It take the creator to destroy a nation or a civilization to make us move. You see, that's why when they kidnapped us and brung us over here, them devils know that we ain't gonna leave until the creator move us. You see what I'm saying? To our time is up. But we ain't no Moors, and we ain't no Native Americans. All those peoples participated in our subjection. You see what I'm saying? The Moors allegedly supposed to had helped the colonists set this country up, scouting about, that come over from Spain with them Sephardi Jews. You see what I'm saying? Ain't no Hebrews had no power to do nothing. When they kidnapped us from the Sahara and took us to West Africa and then brung us to the Americas, they knew who they was targeting, because the Greeks had came into Africa and had documented us. And the Romans had made a few attempts to try to engage with us. You know what I'm saying? You see, we got some names in Africa that the Hebrew Israelite gonna start exposing, but first we got to deal with the first history. And once you understand this history, and then I start explaining what happened to us in Africa, then it'll start all adding up. You see, instead of we all walking around with this occult doctrine, talking about we the Moors, we the Eskimo Hebrew Mexicans that live in South America. You know, Hebrews got all kind of old crazy doctrines, but we setting it straight now. And Hebrew Israelite history is easy to understand. This is the Israelite Brotherhood, you know, and our our ancestors went into Africa, and the book of Jeremiah gonna be our last act on the promised land. Even prophet Isaiah prophesied our captivities. You know what I'm saying? He went into detail. Isaiah chapter 6, when he asked how long, and then he say to the cities be desolate and the people forsake